Right, let's talk about finances. In the financial world, 2013 started with huge fiscal cliff turmoil. Luckily, 2014 is starting much calmer with a budget deal in place. Still plenty of issues out there, but pundits are predicting a decent year. Joe Krier, president of Krier Wealth Management, here to discuss the issues and predictions heading into the new year. Also, a few suggestions on what you should do to kick off the new year in the right way financially. Joe, happy New Year's here. Good to have you here. So let's talk about 2013. There were some obstacles, but the financial markets finished strong.
Yeah, it was amazing. You know, if you go back to the fiscal cliff thing, people were pretty freaked out starting the year off, and the market took off, had a great first 3 months, and never had the summer doldrums that we usually see. So it was much better than most people expected. It's kind of setting us up for something perhaps going into 2014.
Let's take out the crystal globe and talk about 2014. 2014 kicked off with fireworks, literally and figuratively, and we came into the new year with a budget deal. But there's some politics that could get in the way.
Yeah, and you know, I think the budget talks and the government shutdown, the Republicans took a pretty sound beating in that, and they decided that they weren't going to put up much of a fight going into 2014. The market sort of celebrated that in December, excuse me. We'll see if that carries into January. But the next thing coming up is another debt ceiling debate. That'll be hitting us in February or March. And then, of course, as you reported a few minutes ago, we've got the midterm elections coming up in November. So there's going to be an awful lot of political positioning going on over the next few months.
How do you think the Fed plays into everything that's going to happen in 2014?
Well, one of the lessons from 2013 is that the Fed was actually more important than Congress. In this case, people just got burnt out on Congress and their continuous bickering, and they started to look to the Fed and quantitative easing, you know, as being important, and interest rates, as you reported a little bit ago. Now we've got the Fed changing hands. Ben Bernanke leaves. Janet Yellen comes in. Quantitative easing starts to taper off, meaning less money being pumped into the system. And then finally, interest rates is a big question mark. So if we let the market handle interest rates on their own, do they go up or do they stay level? The Feds are betting that they'll stay level, but the rest of the market seems to think they're going to go up.
So overall for 2014, good, moderate, or indifferent?
Well, I'm thinking good. We've got a transition going on from an economy that's being propped up by the government. And the government is saying the economy is starting to kick into gear. So they want to get out of the way. And sometimes a transition of the government getting out of the way and the economy standing on its own 2 feet can be a little bit bumpy. In the long run, that's a good thing, though.
So what I'm hearing is it's not the same economy, which means that we have to change the way we do business. What's your advice for those of us who are mainstream America?
Yeah, this is a tough time. You know, we're coming off a good year. People are looking at their 401ks and their confidence is going up because things are growing again. My advice is to do 2 things. One, assess your situation, list your assets, list your liabilities. If you're buried in debt, you know, set some goals to pay that down, and set some savings goals, and don't get carried away here. If we have a great January, there's the risk of people getting a little too euphoric, maybe getting a little too risky with their assets and their spending habits, and that's how market bubbles and, you know, economic tops are formed. So, you know, just kind of keep a cool head. Let's go into this year and stay objective.
Joe Krier, always a pleasure, always good information. Appreciate it. Jen.